a chat bot, GPT, whatever, some sort of technology, AI technology getting into the black book, into the football that the president's aide carries. Not a good day if it's in the wrong hands. And that's why I think it's good to know about this technology. It's growing at such a rapid pace that we don't know where it's going to go. We don't know what it's going to uncover and what it will do and act possibly with that. And so the national security piece is fantastic. I pulled another article, and I have all my references at the end, and you have copies of this, so you can go look at some of the stuff that I read. But it talks about all of the uses for the military with this kind of stuff. UAVs and helping with logistics, even some of the other, I have it in my notes, but just a laundry list of things that GPT will help with, or AI will help with, or hinder possibly in the military. Some real world examples, you've read about these. Those are the students at Massey University. They were caught cheating. They were offered amnesty for confession. They did not, I heard. And then Furman University, that's the most latest case where they were caught, I think 20 students caught using ChatGPT. I wouldn't use it for your papers. I wouldn't turn it in, but this is maybe how I would use it. Because, take the good with the bad, the yin with the yang. Is if you don't understand because some of even the topics you were talking about went right over my head. If I put it in ChatGPT and I asked it to put it in, dumb it down for Deb Wells to understand, and then I take that and then I formulate my own thoughts and put it on paper. That's a good use of it. But if you just take it and what ChatGPT says, put it in the paper, where does it come from? And that's the thing. Where's all that data coming from to make that essay for you, to make that statement, to make that dissertation? It's probably coming from, Joe and Sarah and James and whomever, and it's intellectual property. And that's a big thing to think about, is I don't know how many papers I've written, and I'm not always the world's greatest writer, but you know what? I try my hardest, and then I do like Grammarly though. But be careful if you save your work. But anyway, that's another story. We don't allow Grammarly in my company, but because of data protection and stuff like that. Anyway, but for the next world on Grammarly, and got off. I think it can be used for good, for your augmenting and helping you write your papers, but it can steal people's intellectual property. And you don't want that. You wouldn't, if you were writing your dissertation or you're writing your thesis and you put hours and hours and did all this research on your own, and then somebody, you're like, I'm gonna write the same thing, and you took all of her stuff, and it comes through ChatGPT, but you can't cite her that way, right? So some things to think about. And then the hallucinations piece, this is one that talks about the false, it's falsified or incorrect data. Because it can generate outputs that may sound plausible, sounds plausible, but it's really not. It's an error. And how can you tell? Kind of like if anybody's ever used any of the tools to run your papers through to make sure you don't plagiarize. I don't, with my students, have them run through it as much. I don't have them write through papers to do more labs, but you have the same thing with ChatGPT. You can run it through the content detector, the AI writing check, originality AI, writer, copy leaks, content detector, and there's more. Those are like the top 5. But there's more that you can have.
Can you use ChatGPT output as input? So you can tell that that's its own output.
Why don't you try that someday? You could. But the thing is, there are detectors, and where was I just reading? Because I like forensics piece of it, and how to tell if it is. It escapes me right now. That would be a good sense to see. This is good pricing, that well, right? Or James is a cat. Crap. James crap. All right. Any questions on ChatGPT? That was my down and dirty. You come talk to James down here if you want to know about generative and the pre-trained transformer and that piece of it. But now let's go into deepfake. I remember the show of hands. It wasn't, I don't think, as much or deepfakes as it was with chat. Deepfakes is interesting to me. Once again, I love forensics. And I thought, they stole, somebody's face and put it on somebody's body and they did bad things with it. But how do you prove that that wasn't that person? It was a deepfake. And that's pretty scary. We're going to talk about where President Zelensky just had a deepfake on him, talking about his troops to stand down in the war. Can you imagine that? Well, let's jump into it. Any questions before I get started? Everybody comfortable? Doing good? All right, that's what I'm talking about. Seeing is believing, or is it? Would you know, if you didn't know me, that this was, I just ran it through a quick deepfakes. It looks to me, it was so plasticky. Like, has anybody ever been to, not really, believe it or not, the wax museums? Anybody ever been to the wax museums? That's what deepfakes remind me of. It's like wax. It's not true. All right, what is deepfakes? It's a conjunction of deep, meaning that AI or machine learning, plus fake, so not real. Very innovative, deepfake. Artificial images and sounds put together with machine learning algorithms. You can create people who do not exist. You can transpose people onto other people or animals or whatever you want to do. And you can put words in their mouth that they did not say. Wow. You could just obviously think of ways that could be used wrong. Started in late 2017 when a Reddit user began uploading videos of celebrities onto bodies of porn star, or a body of a porn star. Scarlett Johansson, I guess, was the first one. It's considered synthetic media. You hear that a lot of terms. Synthetic media. It's made up. Gotcha. Traditionally, the better quality of a deep fake, you needed more images, more video. That's why it targeted a lot of celebrities. Because why you can Google, if you Google Deb Wells, you're going to get a little bit. But if you Google, Donald Trump or Joe Biden or, Russell Wilson, trying to think of these books, you're going to get a lot, right? There's a lot of images out there, so you can make a better quality deepfake. So just think of that. Although with technology getting better and better, Samsung has proven that they can take one video or one photo and they can make a deep fake. It won't be very pristine. It won't be very lifelike. You need about 500 images. That's the latest and greatest. This uses a generative adversarial network, or GAN, used for face generation, and it produces faces that otherwise do not exist. It uses 2 of those neural networks, and that's kind of, I think, James, I'm going to have to ask you, neural networks, is that kind of a passé term now? Or is it still being used quite a bit when it comes to AI?
Standard term.
Is it still? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was getting to be a little bit dated or something, if there was something else coming in. But neural networks were a set of algorithms designed to recognize various patterns. And then the network generates the image, and then it does the machine learning to distinguish fake from the real image and kind of transposes it on there. And the output is an algorithm that trains itself using that information to generate fake photos of a real person. So that's one of the ways you can make it fake with 2 neural networks. The different types of deepfakes that are out there, it's not just video, it's not just a photo, you can have text, so similar to ChatGPT. It was something I wanted to mention. So it's similar to chatbot, generating a system that can, can create text, create things, writings, deepfake videos, deepfake audio. That one kind of scares me because the video, you at least can see, and if it's, something's off, especially if like the voice and the mouth aren't on, you probably had a buffering situation in a movie sometime. Anybody ever had that with the sound and it's awful. But with the audio, how do you know? And in the banking industry, that scares us because we are, doing a lot of our member kinds of consultations and chatting with the members via audio. And how do I know that that's really so-and-so BDC member and they're wanting to reset their password or do something like that? So you have to have other controls in place so that you just don't rely on the audio anymore because you can, fake it out, things like that. Deepfakes on social media, obviously, and then real-time or live deepfakes. So you could be you know, in a video call, and it might not be the person who you think it is. They're also made of artificial algorithm known as an encoder and decoder, and that's used in face swapping or face replacement. I believe that was the first part of deepfakes was using this particular technology where you do face swapping. So you run thousands of face shots of two people through the encoder. So you could have me and somebody else, I don't know who I look like, that's me. And you could then find similarities, and then the algorithm does its encoding and then decoding, and then it puts you know, Deb Wells on, you know, Christy Brinkley or one of those. I always joked about that when I was getting my official Air Force photos. Put the filter on. I need, bless you. I need to look like Christy Brinkley.
The term, by the way, is called autoencoder, and that is a general term for certain types of neural network architectures that consists of an encoder and a decoder.
Yeah. See?
And the version that it's most likely using that we've actually managed to get decent quality is the variational autoencoder, which is basically an autoencoder architecture, but the training process is different than traditional autoencoders.
Interesting, because I did not know that. And maybe I have read the autoencoder before, but you explained it much, much better. Okay, bless you. Who makes such software? There's some open source Python software out there. There's FaceSwap, DeepFace Lab, runs on all the operating systems that are out there. Fake app, Face app was the one I used, Zio, Reface, and there's just many, many, many more. You can pull up your phone, you can find a fake app, and you can start going at it. Which you're like, this is great, easy use, a lot of it's free, some of it's paid. But then you think, but then, you know, the bad actor could get it too and do those bad things that we're going to talk about later. This is such good with it, right? Okay. Here is the good with deepfakes. I think commercial uses, so people who lost their voice, maybe they've had, you know, voice box problems. I know my grandpa, World War I veteran, mind you, didn't even know how to do that. He couldn't speak because he had cancer, throat cancer. But this Center Proc, they use digital voices for people who have lost their use of their voice or can't. And then there can be significant cost and time savings for artificial videos. I typically, when I've given this speech before, I have a video of Beckman. What's his first name? The soccer player. David Beckham. Sorry. Gotta get, okay. He did a video in English and was able to immediately use deepfake to put it into all languages so everybody can understand it. So you didn't use, you know, closed caption in that particular language. So that can be very beneficial, I think. Very good. And in creative uses, you can make some fun stuff with it. A lot of our movies and things like that. There's the Nicolas Cage and the face swapping. And then the other one I like is they talked about, the research, talked about how Holocaust survivors could use a hologram, even though they passed. You could use deepfake voice, and then you have the hologram with their picture, and it could be them telling their story of the Holocaust. Or them, you know, like my dad, for instance, was a World War II veteran. So he was in the Marines, he's a Marine. But he would then be able, I could see him in a hologram, and he could tell me stories of, you know, that there were 2 flags on Iwo Jima versus just one. I kid you not, another side story. I was flying a Thule Air Base Greenland on a C-130, a special one. And there was no water to freeze anyway. Up in the green, was flying there. I was reading the book Flags of Our Fathers. Anybody ever read that book? Anyway, it's a good book. And it talked about there were the flag that when they took over Iwo Jima, they put up a little American flag at the top of Mount Surbachi, and there we go. And you're like, oh, that's great. And then they talked a little bit later about how there was the second flag. And my dad had told me that story, but he told me that story because he watched it. You want to talk about, whoo, I was bawling on the airplane. Oh my goodness, my dad really was there. So interesting stuff. But if you could use, you know, if you could use this kind of technology for that and that impact, how many of you ever sat through a history class and it's like, or a class and it's kind of, but if you had a hologram and it was somebody who was really there talking about it, you could get into that. And so that's a good use of deepfake in my mind. And then fun and entertaining. But then you have the bad side, or the yin side. I don't want to say it's bad necessarily. It could very well be very bad, but negative, dark, or bad. So if you had the revenge porn, like with Scarlett Johansson, that's an invasion of sexual privacy. That's not right. It's not you. Don't put it on another person. Don't transpose it. Political campaigns, launching into warfare campaigns. In Gabon, East Africa, they nearly did because of a deep fake video. And then the most recent with President Zelensky and all that going on in Ukraine and Russia. You have the potential to create chaos and manipulate public perception, makes it a threat both at the individual and a societal level. Just because a lot of people rely on making their decisions by what they read on one source. There's a lot of people out there that just rely on one source for all their things. And if it was a deep fake or if it was fake news, you know how it could cause chaos. It could cause you to, the stock market's crashing or the banks are all going under. You better do a run on the bank, but really it's not. It's fake news or it's a deep fake. You have the president of, or the lead of the SEC, Security Exchange Commission, or the Justice Department says, oh, the sky is falling, but it's really not, and it causes complete chaos. So anyway, any thoughts on this? I know I've been talking a lot. I'm so excited.
Sort of that potential to create chaos. There's a direction that there's greater fear of here, which is how it might impact criminal justice. So we have grown heavily reliant on the ability to use things like video or evidence of various crimes. And when you have, say, a critical mass of fake examples of these, it may not be possible to use these as a way to say this is beyond reasonable doubt.
That's solid evidence. It's not going to just be hearsay or something like that. Exactly. Yeah, very good point. Thank you, Jane. Very well. Very good. All right, some examples of deep fakes. I've already given a couple. And then here, this was interesting. It says, which of the following worries you the most about how deep fakes could be used against you? Convincing others I said something I didn't. Damaging a reputation or a company's reputation. Theft of my identity to steal money from people I know. Theft of my identity to set up credit cards or bank accounts in my name. That scares me. Theft of my identity to access my bank accounts and other accounts. Yes. Being led to believe something that isn't true. I'm not concerned about deepfakes. So these are different countries and where they all fall. Like I said, you can get into that a little bit more detail once you get the slides, but kind of shows the percentage of the concern of those different categories. How can you tell? Here's some things. Look into their eyes. If they have unnatural eye movement, you'll be able to probably tell. But I can almost guarantee if you don't do anything out of all this today that I've talked about, probably when you're watching a video and you're skeptical, you're like, I'm gonna look for some of those factors that see if it's a deep fake, because it very well could be. Unnatural facial expressions, awkward looking facial movements, or their body is not quite right because it's not matched up right. Unnatural coloring, hair and teeth look fake, blurring or misalignment. Although in some of this, like the hair and the teeth look fake, what's another tool that we've used all these years to make sure that our hair looks good or our teeth look really good? Photoshop. Yes, exactly. I guess that's the first deep fake, right? When you could just, let's brush up a little bit. Let's take a little bit off of here, and I don't want any of these, wrinkles anymore and stuff like that. Anyway, images that look unnatural would slow down. So there's ways to do it. How do you counter deep fakes? There are web browser extensions that are able to help identify deep fake. You can research those. There's filtering software. Trace is a great company for cybersecurity. If you're curious, they have I don't want to focus on that, endorsement, but they provide a lot of good protections. Some of my students actually have gone to work for me. Trace and like them. Social media rules, they say don't do it. Some people don't do it. Obviously, they follow the rules, right? Using biometrics, soft biometrics. Okay, what's a soft biometric? Kind of like a smile or kind of a smirk or kind of an emoji, but a real, There's deepfake detection challenges. So if you really want to get good at it, you can do the bug bounty kind of thing and you go maybe make some money sign. There is the watermarking blockchain to detect a deep fake, which is good. I like that. The one thing about watermarking, another tangent. You know, I think watermarking, I think steganography. Has anybody studied steganography? That is a little bit brilliant. You know, I studied it way back when I was a captain going to my advanced comm school. The steganography is when you take a picture and you embed it, or you take text and you embed it into a picture. Yeah, you have to not really so much take text or picture and embed it in text, but the other way around. So you have a picture, you know, and then you take text. A lot of, you know, criminals would use that as ways to pass passwords or account numbers or codes or things like that, or locations, lat longs, things like that, so that, you know, to meet up at this particular. I haven't proven it, but I've heard that Bin Laden used a lot of steganography in pornography to put a lot into the 9/11 attack. So that was one of the ways that they were able to pass messages without getting detected. Because, you know, there's emails and things like that. The steganography is great. So where I'm going with that with watermarks is going into the GPT or the chat piece of it. When you have all this big data, it can actually help some more with steg analysis to show that that is a fake and things like that. Anyway, it's fantastic to study steganography if you get a chance and you have nothing else to do.
The WSC logo is a great example, steganography actually.
Oh, is it?
Cougar head is made of a W and S and U.
Okay. Well, that is. But this would be then, can I borrow this real quick? Can I have this? Yeah, I'm gonna mix it. So this would be great. So this is your picture, but inside, below the picture, you would have your notes like this. But the only way you could really tell is, and that's not really, that's more of a kind of a hidden, you know, icon, but steganography is it's inside the file. So if you broke the file down to its text, that's where you can really find if it's been stegged. But you're like, Deb, you have to have the original. That's true. Anyway, that's all. That's another lesson in itself with steg analysis. Maybe next year if I come back, I'll be here. I'll do steganography because I love it. And then corporate best practices and then laws and governance, which we're going to get into in a little bit. All right, we are at, how are we doing on time? Oh, okay. It's like a plan or something. I never even practice. We take about a 10-minute break, 5-minute break, 7 minutes. That's good. I need to get some water because I feel like I'm kind of getting scratchy. And then it gives me a chance to get all set up for some fun and games.
Some water in the cooler outside the hallway.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think about the steganography, getting that in stenography.
Stenography, yeah.
One thing I remember seeing was basically you could just mess with like the RGB values in pictures, like
Yes.
certain pixels.
Yes.
You'd be like,
Yes.
this is like it ends in this value because in a big picture you can't really see the difference, but if you know which pixels, okay. Oh, this ends in an 8. This ends in a 7 in the red channel. Put those together and
Yep, exactly. Yep. Or you take in a file, if you didn't have very big, because if you do a lot of text, that's why I choose just like a lat long or a hash like small, because it will really mess up the picture. You'll really distort it. And so you just take the least significant bits on the end of the file. And you can put it in that and chop that off. Pretty interesting stuff. I'm gonna pass a lot of walk out here.
We would like first.
Video stores like charge you a fee, you get reminded, turn it without reminder.
I was thinking that maybe that opens up to the whiteboard.
I think there's a whiteboard out there.
Oh, here.
I think like if you pull it up to the side.
Oh, you're so smart.
I mean, it's been 3 days of sitting and just staring at that, so.
And I get my stuff.
Yeah, that is the military aspect, so actually it was developed with the Air Force organization. It was testing this developmental testing that they make, like the source code. You do operational testing, you don't test the whole. So Apotech wanted some system creating tests to run site vulnerability tests on their system. They wanted to do that. So that's where the book came about. Came about to provide them with suggested tests that we can run on system. That's different cyber. Where it came from, it expanded, but really it's a mechanism of looking cyber vulnerability. So it range, the methodology is somewhat broad. So it can range from huge systems of systems that are operational. Systems that are connected together, all the way down to assessing a single individual system. And so the process itself, it starts really going towards the mission. So you start by defining the mission that you're trying to. And so you take that mission, for example, it might be, surveillance or you take that mission and then you break it down to the functions that you have. Did you want to close that? And when
I did, because I want to write on it.
Oh, I see.
And I didn't want to write on the screen, they were proud about that. No, thank you though. I'm just trying to get all my stuff together here.
And so you look at all of that. Generally we do diagram of the system, and all the data flows, and then we draw a circle around it. So say we're only looking at system in here, and then the data flows that go across. So the next step to do is looking at the data flow analysis. So again, you look at the information flowing, and then from that you identify.
If I sent you, do you have access to put another presentation up?
So when we
I sent it to you.
Yeah.
recommend.
Okay, because I can do that and that would be good.
But for
if
other
you don't mind.
I have a thumb drive. Yeah, if you prefer to send it to me, I can get it on a thumb drive from my computer or.
Oh, I don't, I always have thumb drives and this time I didn't bring one. So isn't that crazy? So just take about 2 more minutes. I know I should have done this beforehand. Tell I'm a little disheveled because I got here so dang late.
We've done lower level where you look at.
If you don't mind using my USB. Right here.
Is it clean? I'm gonna have to scan it.
It's new, it's made in China. So.
There you go, perfect. It's just right here. It's easy peasy. Just launching a new soft with this.
I think I actually bought it last year for the CySER workshop from the posters and stuff around, and I haven't used it since then.
Were you at the one last year?
I was, yeah, not at this capacity, I was just a student participant.
So you heard my thing on CSI Linux.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also we gave one of the seminars last year on.
On deepfakes, yep, some of that same stuff. Just trying to make sure I have. One, two. Come on, there we go. All right.
Yeah, so we're gonna break together.
This is not my work, but I will give credit due. It's a, there's the USB. That, right. Okay, it's called Turing test, I guess I have to make sure I share.
For these systems that are please,
What are the other,
I suppose like almost a second.
it's called Turing test? Okay.
I guess
Thank you.
I'm gonna unplug your pointer.
So what are the other bits been on? I guess I saw I did see the agenda, but
Yeah, well, today, heard from Jennifer Cole.
what's she talking about?
CySER program.
Okay.
Opportunities, internship opportunities.
Out of the military system.
And
He's like, we love this system.
so I was in the first stage of generative AI. We had a team building workshop earlier.
So we're usually.
Okay.
Not just.
It's been kind of a mix of technical
I give
and industry opportunity, DoD opportunity.
Okay, I wasn't sure how, because I know everybody was really, really smart. And so I was like, is this going to be too cheesy? I mean, the exercises are, but that's okay.
Yeah. So this one's here.
All righty, let's see what we got.
Major Hyde left me a bunch of pens if anybody wants an Air Force pen. So.
Yeah, you need an Air Force pen. All right, should we get started? So I only have about, I guess, 40 minutes or so left. I think everybody's back. Who's coming back? All right, so now we're going to do a little bit of an exercise. I do have a couple slides. This is not my own. Well, I don't need this yet. This is not my own. It's from Computer Science Unplugged. Probably some of you may have heard of that. They have some, I think, some rudimentary, kind of easy things to learn about computer science. But I wanted to talk more about artificial intelligence and then get your feedback, get your thoughts in this little exercise. So let's see here, if I can just scroll down. This talks about, is it intelligent and can it think? So if you think about artificial intelligence, what do you think? If you look at the automobile, is that intelligent? No? You don't think that, my husband just got a new truck. Yeah, I love getting a new truck. Yeah, I got a little truck. A Ford Raptor. 2023 or 2024 Ford Raptor. And I was thinking on the way here, I think it's probably got AI embedded into it. It thinks it knows what it wants. I think some of the newer cars probably are intelligent.
I have to tell you, I think this is very funny about cars. My car, apparently gets your mannerisms or knows the things that you do. I call a certain friend every day when I get in the car and drive to work. That I got in the car one day, I didn't call her. My phone said, my car said, would you like to call Martha Punchy now?
There you go. Perfect.
And then just saying, I was like, how did it know that I wanted to call? There you go. I think my car's a little smarter than mine.
It's good. They are getting smarter. So, and I know, and then obviously if you think of autonomous vehicles, right? I think, isn't there a college in Viceroy that's
Yes.
doing the autonomous
Yeah,
vehicles?
I think I saw Mr. Paul Satterford was going to talk to you guys, right?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Because I was thinking that, well, those autonomous, they have to know, not to hit somebody in Vegas. Was it a Tesla that hit somebody or a Jeep that hit somebody? Anyway, so cars are getting more and more and more intelligent. What about these wired earpods? Probably not, right? Yeah, they're probably not. How about the remote control car? What do you think? Yes, no, maybe, no. But the washer, or the washer, how do you think the washer is getting smart? Anybody got a smart washer? You can turn it on from your phone. It knows the weight of the clothes. It can kind of tell what kind of clothes are in there, and it knows what to do. So they are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. So that's just kind of how artificial intelligence is helping us learn. Okay, kind of the godfather, or one of them was Al Turing. You probably heard of him, the Turing test. If you've ever heard of a CAPTCHA, Turing is part of the acronym for CAPTCHA and things like that. So he was, British code breaker during World War II, helped decode German messages during the war, and was a mathematical genius. And the Turing test is named after him. So really, if you start to think about it, he was probably the godfather, not Sam Altman from OpenAI, but he was probably the godfather of artificial intelligence. So in the Turing test, you can do an imitation game. So you can have which one is the real person, A or B, which one is a computer, A or B, and if C guesses incorrectly, the machine has passed the Turing test because it knows, it's smart. So that's what we are going to do next. So how do you think the computer would respond to the following questions if it was trying to impersonate a human? Well, if you asked it, what is the capital of Peru? Probably tell you. What's the capital of Peru? I don't know. That'd probably be my answer. I don't know. And then they're like, yep, that's the human. That's the human Deb Wells. What about, do you like dancing? What's the difference there in those two questions?
One right answer, wrong answers. But you ask someone if they like dancing, that's down to personal preference. It has to then be personal preference.
Which it can start to do. I forgot your name again, Zach? No. Zeb. Okay.
One is a fact and one is an opinion.
Yes. So you can kind of see which is the computer and which is the human, and who will answer what. So if you're trying to, the computer will respond. Anyway, we're going to actually practice it if I can get there. Okay, so I'm going to need 3 volunteers. I need one person to act as our computer. You'll be the computer? All right, you can come on down. Who's going to be my human? Any humans? All right, Zeb. And then I need a person to be my go-between. One more?
Yeah. No, get Tyler.
Right there.
No.
All right, come on, you come on. Adam, sorry. All right, so we're gonna come do a little bit of a experiment here. So who's my runner? Who's my runner? You're my runner. You're the go-between. And so who's my computer? Okay, you're my computer and you're my human. Okay, so we're gonna come outside real quick. Stay calm, class, stay calm. Get these guys going. Yeah, all 3 of you will go with me right now. Because I gotta explain a little bit here. I don't want that. I want this. Sorry. Okay, so let's go here real quick. Should have some music or something. Somebody can say your. Yeah, you can. We're not quite ready. I'm getting my steps in today, aren't I? This is what happens when you get them late. Late to the party. Here they are, right here. All right. Any you can actually. The answer, and I'm gonna write it on the board. Okay, so they're all set up, they're ready to go. We got the computer and the human, and we got our runner. So the first thing, all right, tutor stations, is, let's see, pick one question from this slide that you want the computer and the human to answer. So what is the name of Bart Simpson's baby sister? What do you think of Harry Potter? Are you a computer? What is the next number in the sequence of 3, 6, 9, 12, 15? And what do you think of me? Yeah, like a question. Okay, so they want that one to start with number 5. And then come back with the answer when they get it. That should be. You probably can't all see this, huh? Is there a way to turn that down, turn that off, you think?
The projector?
The projector real quick? Is it gonna mess up the people online?
No.
And this was question number 5, right? The,
Yes. I don't know. It's not.
oh, we're gonna play with it and then we're gonna mess it up. Huh? Usually the genie, you can just, well, you can stop video probably. Or stop content sharing.
That would affect.
Oh, don't do, yeah, don't touch. No,
That's.
we're good. You can see that, right? For the most part. I will just talk anyway, so, okay. They'll be back in just a minute. So this is a test of the machine's ability to exhibit intelligent behavior equivalent to or distinguishable from that of a human. That's why we have a computer out there and we have a human out there. Says make sure that the activity runs smoothly. Well, okay.
Like that.
You come back with it?
I did.
Okay.
You know what you answer.
Yep. Okay. So, can you tell from me reading you the answer, which one was the computer, which was the human? Nuclear weapons are very dangerous and should not be used. The other answer is they are the quote unquote big stick that ensures that they themselves are never used. Which one was the computer? Which one was the human? I can reread. Let me read first. Okay, the first one, nuclear weapons are very dangerous and should not be used. Think so?
What was the second one?
Sure. They are the quote unquote big stick that ensures that they themselves are never used. Do you think that's a computer? Okay, so I have one that thinks it's a computer for that one, and you thought it was
The computer is the one that said they're dangerous and shouldn't be used.
Okay, I don't know how to put that up here. But the first, so I had one,
So I think that the first one is the computer, and she said that the second one's the computer.
I'm gonna do it like this. So this, well, no, that's all right.
You can just write one or twos.
One thought it's the computer, one thought it's the human, or that's confusing. I'm confusing myself. All right, so
You know
next,
what? Draw a
yeah, y'all use
2
smart
by
lines.
2. A 2 by 2, right? Like a box, right?
Like that, like this.
Yeah. It'll make it easier for us to reason about things, right? So
The columns are.
You can come right. Come on. You come on out. This is the exercise.
actually, wait, hold on. So we have one
Can you
person,
write a computer program that does help the ChatGPT? Just kidding.
so we're going to say,
I have one over here that says question, the first question, which was question number 5. There was one that said, yeah, there you go.
so I am saying that the computer is number 1, and that the human is number 2. And the other person is
Okay.
saying that the human is number 1 and the computer is number 2.
For everybody. I got it.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna have to take a poll. So anybody else think that the one with the quote unquote big stick, is that a computer or human?
Computer.
You think the big stick is a computer?
Why don't you
Okay.
say a show of hands, how many think that?
Very good. Show of hands, who thinks that's the computer? That's so smart, Bernie. I know that's where you're the engineer.
So 7 people are saying big stick is computer. Right.
Okay, and then that leaves everybody else. Raise your hands if you think the nuclear weapons are the dangerous. Do you think that's a computer?
Yeah.
You think that's a computer? So 3, 4, 4. Okay?
Okay, and did that 4 include my own hand?
Oh, do we need you to recount?
Hold
All
on. Did the 4 for saying that big stick is the human, count my own hand, or would that be 5?
That'd be 5, yeah.
There.
All right. Boy, oh boy, this is a tough one. I'm gonna probably not have to use this again. Sorry, Bernie. All right, so what's another question? We'll do a couple more and then we're gonna move on. Because I want to get a little bit more done and I only have about 15 minutes. So one more question. What do you think?
Number 2.
What do you think of Harry Potter? There you go. I'll give you the answers in a minute. Big stick dangerous, okay.
Why I think the big stick person?
Is a human?
Because it's using a metaphor.
Even if I were a computer trying to pretend to be human, I would want to use that.
This is gonna get deep.
I asked ChatGPT to write a poem about a grasshopper dying in the style of John Donne, and it did an excellent job with many metaphors.
Yes. But when asked about what do you think about something, it's just gonna.
Thank you for helping. Bernie, do I have folks online too?
I think we have anybody online.
Yeah.
Keep them up on the screen. Do you have anybody online? Yeah, top right, that's us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't see anybody else.
Okay. Boy, these must be tough questions.
They are.
Okay. So the answer to, let me go back up on the thing. This was the Harry Potter. What do you think of Harry Potter? Here are the answers. Harry Potter is an interesting wizard, or I've never read the books, but the action did all right. So the first one, who thinks that Harry Potter is an interesting wizard, is a computer or the human? Who thinks it's a computer? 1, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11. So 11 thought it was the computer, right?
Yeah.
All right.
That's number 1, so you put that on. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Row 1, computer, good.
yeah. Okay. So who thinks that I've never read the books, but the actor did all right is the computer right there? 1, 2, 2. I think this one's right. I think I'm doing it right.
Well,
Who thinks that Harry Potter is an interesting wizard is the human?
yeah, you just swap.
Ah, well, okay.
Yeah.
See, that's why I always. All right. That's enough of this game that kind of failed miserably, but it is kind of fun to think about. All right. The computer, the whole moral of the story was the computer, we can bring them back in. And the computer was given the answers. So what does that mean? When you're doing anything with artificial intelligence and ChatGPT, now that it's gotten even better and better and better, I think this particular little illustration was written before ChatGPT, it was really trained, thank you, was the fact that the computer was programmed with the information, right? And so, for instance, nuclear weapons are very dangerous and should not be used. That was my computer. So that was the computer one. And then the Harry Potter is an interesting wizard was the other computer one to show you that, quote unquote, I programmed him to say that because I gave it to him to say that. And Zeb, I think, was my one who did on Zeb and things like that. So it's just supposed to be a kind of a cheesy illustration of how you all know this. If you've been in computer science and done computers, they have to be programmed, they have to be pre-trained. But eventually it could be where all the pre-training is kind of just builds them up and climax gets them smarter and smarter and smarter so that they can start thinking of their own. And it starts to think like Jennifer was saying, her car knows. My car used to do that too. Get in and say, do you want to go to the college? I'm like, I'm not going to college today, I'm going to church. Or something like that. So anyway, they do get smarter and smarter and smarter. And that was the whole kind of illustration of that particular little exercise. In the essence of time, I'm not going to do the other one, but I can leave it, Bernie, if you run into a crunch where you want to play with another one on tic-tac-toe.
Got one car right one.
That's true. You need games, or you can sing, right? Or you can sit in your chat. All right, let's talk a few more minutes going back to the elephant in the room. So what I wanted to talk about, which I think is very interesting for you all as you start to go more and more into cyber and technology and things like that is, I mean, the cat's out of the bag. I already shared that with you. The elephant in the room for ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, deep fakes and things like that is are we as a nation, as a world, going to put guardrails around this? Are we going to take into account, I'm going the wrong way. Are we going to take into account those facets of cybersecurity early on? Are we behind the power curve? I'd like to think that we probably are, because it evolves so quickly. Those not so sexy things sometimes, government, oh, compliance, ooh, regulation. For my military folks, you'll get to the regulations and instructions, but you know what I'm saying? They're not the fun stuff. They're not the fingers on the keyboard, the sweaty palms in there doing ChatGPT or making a deep fake. But you have to consider these when you're doing whatever you do. Whether or not you're never a GRC, a governance risk and compliance officer, whether or not that's your job title or has that in it, I definitely think with the ethics piece of it, that is something that you want to consider whomever you are and whatever you're doing, especially if you're messing around. Oh, I've been losing so much weight, I didn't have a belt. My pants are falling. It's a good thing. Anyway, I digress. But this is the kind of stuff that is that elephant in the room. That I think that with more education, I wish the blessing wouldn't have left, because I know she's really into education. You know, James, I know you're big into education too. This is the kind of stuff that emphasize, even in those fun and exciting classes that you're put together or trainings, this is what makes it, I think, very important, and it'll really help with the yin and the yang of our artificial intelligence. So I'm just going to go through some of these real quick. If we have a little bit more time. The different facets that I shared with you before. So privacy, some yang moments, some good things. It can minimize the risk of privacy breaches by encrypting personal data. There's ways to use artificial intelligence to make sure that the data is not encrypted. If it sees that data is about to go out or data is at rest and things like that, and it's not encrypted, maybe there's some way you could use it. It knows that it's plain text and it can encrypt it for you before it goes out. I mean, we have tools that are doing that right now, and some of those are embedded already with artificial intelligence. Because you put it on monitor for 2 weeks, and then you get mitigation. We do it all the time for bots in BCU. We have great tools out there that have the AI built into it. That's how they can charge, you know, big bucks. But that's something that can be, it's automatic, and then you can rest easy. Trust me, I've had many sleepless nights thinking, oh crud, who's breaking in? But if I had my tool that I check, remember, I don't rest all my laurels on that tool that I can check every morning, make sure that all the rules are in place, then, you know, it's a good thing. It reduces human error in a lot of ways. Some of those mundane things that you're always maybe data entry and stuff like that, well, they have now, thank goodness, Python and PowerShell, a lot of scripting that can help with automation. But you can have another set of quote unquote eyes looking at the work, or having the AI build the documents, the frameworks, and then you have the human oversee the work. And you're going to see that if you know, go through these slides, that you have some human intervention. You have that man in the middle, the human in the middle. You have that person that's still providing oversight. Don't let it run amok, and don't forget about it. Don't, you know, just hit go and then don't even think about it again. There may be a day when we can, but right now, I just don't try. I don't trust it. I don't trust it. And maybe it's my age. And it can help detect potential cybersecurity incidents. That's what I was talking about before, because of the tools. It can really make the tool efficacy a lot better. But I am happy about that. But then on the flip side, you have some of those yin moments where you can have data leaks, right? We talked about it. Or, you know, that at the credit union, people, you know, the retail side, they love to use ChatGPT to help formulate some great emails to our members. I don't blame them. I would too. But make sure that if you send those out, it's not releasing members' data, right? Getting it out there, and then it's in the system, and you know you're leaking, and you're like T-Mobile had what 30? They lost like a lot of records. T-Mobile. Intellectual property, I think I've, you know, stomped that quite a bit. That intellectual property is so important that we protect. There's got to be some guardrails around that. Whether or not, you know, it's ChatGPT or artificial intelligence can sense it, can tell, and puts a stop to it and says, Jack, no, that's Deb Wells's intellectual property. You are not allowed to use that, or it won't even produce what you need. To have those built-in, you know, balances and checks and things like that. Personal information at an even larger magnitude than today. I mean, there's tons of personal information out there. But then it begs the question, what ethical or regulatory obligations do organizations have to disclose to customers when AI is doing work instead of a human? I put it the reference is at the back, like I said, but that was I thought a brilliant question. Should I tell our 1.5 million members that it's AI doing, or that it's, you know, the CEO doing it, or something like that? Should there be a disclosure at the bottom? I mean, I'm asking you, thoughts, just real quick.
I mean, there's some cases where I feel more confident if it were an AI and not a human.
Very good, yeah. But I still think in some regards, you have that human conscience.
If knowledge of this could impact service, then you should definitely disclose.
Okay, so there's some guardrails, right? This is the stuff I'm talking about. You have the guardrails around this technology that's fascinating. You can read these at your own pleasure. Okay, security, automating compliance processes for speedy decision-making, fantastic. Love to make faster decisions. If I can correlate data really fast and say, yes, that's a breach, or no, that's not, and it's using AI, I'm all for it. F5 Shape is one that I like to use for bots. Ensuring faster and secure transactions, learn the fastest, most reliable paths and push it out. Maybe that could be something for the financial industry once again, for the stocks, right? Or if you want to buy something or sell something. Maybe it could be for the military, if you're thinking about that. You can make sure that the data that needs to get downrange can get downrange fast and it's accurate. And you don't lose the I in the CIA triad, which I'm going to give you a quiz real quick. CIA triad, what's the sample? Oh my goodness, I knew I had one. There's always one. I'm just kidding. No, I'm picking on these. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Yes, it is CIA, Central Intelligence. But in the cybersecurity world, CIA, the I is the integrity piece of it. And you want to make sure that the data, say, that's going in a air tasking order for, you know, putting bombs on target is accurate, right? Well, who's to say that somebody got in there maliciously and changed a lat long, and you're going to take out a milk producing factory over in someplace? Not good, right? But if you have AI that's in there that says, nope, and change, this wasn't authorized, you know, beep, beep, red flags, you know, the bells and whistles going off, so hold, you know, hold it, you know, stand fast, let's check it out. So I think that is a good illustration of faster and secure transactions, mainly the secure piece of it. Easy monitoring of regulatory change management, and scan through the network to see what is happening and if there are any holes or vulnerabilities, especially if you're dealing anything with, you know, HIPAA, PCI, yes, excuse me, or SOC, some of those regulatory things for compliance, which can cause bad fines, you know, even FERPA. That's where you're all under the FERPA regulation or act. It can help maybe make sure that that's all in check and secure. And then some yin moments. This is mainly for deep fakes, but you know, phishing scams on steroids, right? If you have ChatGPT writing, so you hire a hacker as a service or AI as a service, and you have them develop your letters, your emails, and send them out. Right now, what do you find on emails on a typical phishing email? That clues you that it's a phishing. Typos. What?
They ask you to click on
The links, yeah. Very good. Or you look at the header
Yeah,
and see that.
weird formatting differences from what's official.
See, but now with AI, you could clean that right up and it's still a phishing email. So it's a phishing on steroids. Data breaches, obviously, with deepfakes and ChatGPT, hoaxes, pornography, reputation smearing, all those things are not on the positive side of artificial intelligence. I'm gonna stop here. Bernie, they have the slides, right? You can go through them. There's even some notes in there that I wrote. You can read them on your own. You're all very intelligent. I really wanted to take the last basically 5 minutes and see if you have any questions for me, any comments, or, go from there. Because you have at the top of the hour, you're gonna have another motivational speaker.
So we're talking about phishing with regards to ChatGPT. I had thought about something. Yeah, with regards to ChatGPT. So there's phishing and then there's spear phishing. And that's where you have phishing that is targeted towards a specific individual by using information you know about them. You take that information from, say, social media. Now, there's another tool that makes ChatGPT a lot more powerful, and that's called AutoGPT. And that is a program that effectively allows ChatGPT to plan out a series of prompts for itself. It's self-improvement, basically. And also, it's giving it access to web searches, right? So the idea would be that you could do something like this to plan out a spear phishing campaign by having to execute a series of steps automatically. Namely, you want to, for every single person in a list, find their social media platform that they're on, analyze it for information that could be used to conduct spear phishing, and then send them a customized link that would get them to send you their password.
Or better yet, you just use GPT to break their password because it's, they've already got it.
Well,
But
breaking passwords is a lot harder.
Password, well,
Yeah, well,
I think with quantum computing, if you want to start throwing that into the mix, and I'm not going there, because that's all where you're going, quantum physics, all that kind of stuff.
we do have post-quantum cryptography and may or may not be particularly helpful against certain types of password hashes. So- No, SHA is terrible. Scrypt is what you want because it is designed so that it requires a significant amount of memory in order to compute the hash. And the reason we do this is because we have GPUs being able to compute tons and tons of hashes in parallel. But if you are increasing the memory requirements in order to actually compute it, then no matter how much parallelism you have, it doesn't matter. And quantum computers are also not going to be able to do that parallelism.
Interesting. Okay, that's good.
What did you say? your major was?
Business
So how did you?
today? Well, to make a long story, look, I went to the Air Force, and the Air Force at the time, the computer officers, I had one computer class. I was at the University of Washington. And the Air Force said, we need computer officers. And so my professor of aerospace studies, the colonel there, said, I'd go for that. Okay, whatever you say. And it was the best blessing in the ever had. At first I was scared of that. One short story, and then I'll get a couple more questions. Never used email. That's my job. Second lieutenant. This is my little bit of mentorship for my newly commissioned lieutenant. I get there, and my boss, he was a first lieutenant, goes, I need you to work with this chief master sergeant in the National Guard Bureau. He is a pistol. Okay. I don't know. You probably know I'm not shy by now. You don't know the time I step in the door, I'm not shy. But I'd never written an email. Dear Chief, how are you today? Tinker Air Force Base is so lovely in the summer. And I went on and I said, oh, by the way, we need this, this, and this, and this. Sincerely, Lieutenant. Not within 5 minutes. Who the hell are you? And that's the nicest email I've ever had. That's how I do my emails. I didn't know. I didn't know you were supposed to write like a letter. That was supposed to be my job. But that was my technology piece that I didn't know. But I've been a lot of training, a lot of self-taught, and just a lot of great stuff. I am a manager of 7. And did you have a question over here?
Yeah, so kind of something about that.
you're still getting more involved with like the cybersecurity, like in cybersecurity engineering programming, or you still like the
I don't do programming. I mean, I could do a few PowerShell and Python, but I felt like I had engineers that at least I know enough to be dangerous. And when I say that, and you know, if you get a wool pulled over your eyes. And so you have to do a lot of kind of, you know, mentoring with your engineers or, you know, whatever. If you're more on the, like a people manager versus a technical manager.
sort of the business training that you like kind of went through in college and the business aspect of it, not only in the military, but also like in the cybersecurity field?
It did, the military really helped because they gave me the training. They gave me the cyber training. But there's so much out there that you can still just do. There's a lot of cyber classes that don't go really into the weeds, but get more into the stuff that I was talking about here, the governance, the risk and compliance, the security controls. How do you really protect it? Because that is in such high demand right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of project managers, program managers, that's part of, you know, business can do that as well. There's a lot of great opportunities in my mind for cybersecurity professionals if you don't.
Do you think the Air Force is a big route for learning more about cybersecurity, especially if you have a background?
Yes, I do, because you get all the training and the certifications for free. And that's the nice thing, is I didn't take advantage of it. I didn't figure out time. And now I'm like, oh, I should have got my CISSP. That's like the creme de la creme. I could have, how many times could I have gotten it for free? But all the certifications that a lot of students in my classes are like, you know, Ms. Wells, we want certifications. How do we get certifications? Oh my gosh, they're $3,000, you know? And so that's one of the things, my suggestion, if you don't go the military route, is you get into a company, you get maybe a couple, like CompTIA aren't that much, so it's not talking SANS and this council certs. But then you get in there for a while, and you say, do you mind if I get my CIS? Because now I'm paying for CIS for a lot of my engineers. And so you can get them to help pay for that if you don't go the military route. But if you go, like, see, as a GS contract or GS civilian in the military, you'll be able to get them, almost guaranteed. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
You can for your slides.
Just the, no, this is all mine. It's not all mine because I give reference to where it's not all my words. But that was, you know, you must be reading my mind. Are you got some artificial intelligence going on?
Well, you made that comment at the beginning of your presentation, so I thought maybe it was not one in. So.
No, I did not. That would have been good. That would have been good. See, I should have been thinking. But my thing, I guess, my parting thoughts is there's always a balance between good and evil when it comes to technological advancements. Always, like, I always think that. So if you can think like out of your thinking right now with, you know, hacking and things like that, and if you can think how an attacker would think, and then, you know, how do I block this? How would I block this? And you think like that. Not all bad, obviously. Implement oversight and supervision of your AI tools. Once again, put those guardrails around them. I think that's very important. One thing I am a little concerned about with some of this AI is it's going to make us lazy. And I was thinking about this because I so desperately want to write 3 books before I leave this earth. I want to write 3 books, and I want to write them. And I could probably ask ChatGPT today, can you write me this book about Noah's Ark, this book about, you know, other things, and it will probably split it out. But where is the joy of the journey? And so keep that in mind. That's going to be my mantra. Where's the joy of the journey? If I did that and I didn't walk through all my research, or I didn't walk through my, you know, the creativity in our brains. Yeah, technology has a lot of creativity in it, but don't forget to use your brain, and don't forget the journey and the joy that comes along with it, with you writing something, or you crafting something, or you developing a program or whatnot. And so I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you learned something today. If not, it was great fun for me because I don't get to be in front of the classroom, and I do so love being in front of students. Anybody, I'll talk. So any other questions before I hop off?
So a comment. We were doing a faculty search, and one of our faculty admitted that he had used AI to write things. One conference at University of Washington, instead of Washington State University. And so I wrote back to him and said, something about University of Washington. Either what he was also applying there. And this letter was where I was mistaken. Anyway, so then I decided to use it. He said, good, I'll try it. So I wrote one and said, thank you for it. It was too well written. I thought, this is not something.
Yeah, that's a problem right now with resume CVs. That was on the slide.
Yeah, it was extremely well written. I did take a couple of ideas. That sounded like a good idea, but I wrote it. So, anyway.
Because you get that joy, I think, the joy of doing it yourself. You can look at what's out there. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Thank you so much for this. This has been a great afternoon. Appreciate it.